Welcome to episode 19 of the Career Breakthrough series. I'm your host, Paul Ames, and if you've got friends or family or anyone you know who might be really interested or looking to progress in their career, please don't forget to share out our episodes so we can help as many people as possible move forward in their career. Or, if you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe to our channel by hitting the button at the bottom right of the screen. So, on to the show today, we've got my amazing friend Kristin Jacobsen. Kristin is the CEO of Nextgen Financial Services in Queensland. He helps Gen Y and business owners get their finances to an incredible new level, and he's going to share his amazing advice on how you can get your finances in a great state and set up your financial future for your career. He shares some amazing advice on really handling your personal finances and how to really move forward in your life and get to those levels you want to get to. So guys, I can't wait to share this episode with you, so let's get started. Welcome to episode 19 of the Career Breakthrough series. I'm your host, Paul Ames, and on the show today, guys, I've got an incredible friend of mine called Kristin Jacobsen. Kristin is the CEO of Nextgen Financial Services, which helps professionals and executives really align their financial future and set themselves up for an amazing financial future and achieve incredible returns in their investment. Kristin is based in Queensland, and him and I are looking to plan some amazing things in the future. So, Kristin, thank you so much for coming on the show. I'm really excited to have you on and to share your knowledge and help my audience with their financial future and setting themselves up. So, Kristin, if you could just give my audience a bit of a background into basically what your upbringing was like and what your previous career path was like before you started a business and how that transition was for you.
Absolutely. So I grew up in Townsville on a mango and passion fruit farm.
Oh, wow.
And from a very early age, I actually experienced my dad go through a number of different careers. So he started off as a dental technician. He was a high school teacher. But, there was something about Dad that I realized that, he was he was very entrepreneurial minded, right? So as a teacher, on the weekends he was, selling passion fruit and mangoes at the markets, and then started adding extra products onto that, like ice cream stuff that would suit, the fruit. And Mum was at the time she was working in the finance broking space, right?
Okay.
And so Dad saw. This is back in the 90s, right? So when financial planning wasn't really a thing, it was more just like financial product flogging. He saw the opportunity there. So, over the years, I saw him transition to different careers. For me personally, while I was at school, I've just for some reason had a love of numbers. So I was the ducks of accounting. So that sort of just led me into studying accounting. And while I was studying, I took a job at an accounting practice, one of the top 4 firms, and I was making $25,000 a year, right, as a undergrad. And I just knew that I didn't suit that environment of doing the 9 to 5 and being told when I can go to work and when I can take my lunch break and all that. And so I did about a year and a half, and so I jumped out of that and discovered my love for coffee. So
I can relate to that one.
So I went from being an undergrad accountant and being paid $25,000 to being a barista almost full time while studying, earning about the same amount.
Yeah.
And so straight after that, I was fortunate enough to, after I graduated, be accepted in the professional year with a business called AMP, which is one of Australia's biggest financial planning companies. And from there, seeing Dad and a couple of other family members in the career of the finance space, that sort of just naturally progressed me into that industry. And it was actually 2 years after I had done the professional year, I was working in Dad's practice. And, working for family, that's always going to be a challenge. And one day I remember, driving home from one of the workshops that we were doing for the retiree clients, it sort of had this idea in my mind, well, a lot of financial advisors, they deal with people that, already have the money, already accumulated a lot of money, they've worked all their life and now they're planning their retirement. But what about the guys that were just starting out, the ones that are earning a good income but haven't really started any investing or anything like that? So I, talked to my dad about it, and of course he said, there's no money in that. And I said, okay, well, watch me. And I started the business. So, yeah, it's sort of just a natural progression. But for me, accounting was great, but it didn't really help people, and I didn't really feel fulfilled in that role. So I made the choice to, go and follow the family business, I guess you could say. So that's a little bit of the background as to how I got to where I am today. Yeah.
Oh, awesome, man! Thanks so much for sharing. And yeah, I can relate. My dad was the same. I came from it was more of a business mindset. Or like my dad was more, work in the business. Like he wasn't really that entrepreneurial mindset. Like he had his own cleaning business, but yeah, he just worked like a workaholic. So I definitely got a bit of a different mindset to that. So, but thanks for sharing, mate. So I'd just love to know, obviously, from those couple of careers you did before you started your business, what would be some of your biggest takeaways that you've gained from those careers, or biggest learnings from those careers?
I think for me, when I was stressed out, when I was not really liking, so when I was in the accounting role, the undergrad accounting role, I was waiting for 5 p.m. So I was watching the clock, and it was very interesting because I've seen two ends of the spectrum. So Dad was the entrepreneur type, the business owner. Started business back in the 90s, and ever since has been fully self-employed. And Mum working through a number of different careers. And what I found was there's people that absolutely loved what they did.
Yep.
And they were the ones that sort of excelled, but the ones that weren't really enjoying what they were doing and just doing enough to get the paycheck, and I saw that at a very early age. I was 18, actually I was employed before I was 18 in that role. But it was just really interesting to see because, you see the guys that were working, being passionate about what they do and succeeding, to those who weren't really liking what they were doing. So for me, I was waiting for 5 p.m. and, so that was short-lived. That was, only a short period of time where I was happy to do that. So, and then, once I got out of that and started to do what I really love, you can work 12 hours a day and it's not really a problem.
Exactly, man. And I think that's, it's so true what you've just said. I think, unfortunately, a sad reality is that there's probably 80% of people that are miserable in their job. And so, there's only the slim minority that are really passionate about what they do. And I find that a lot of that's just because their values, strengths, skills, and interests aren't actually aligned with what they're doing. They've either had the influence of others, or, they just don't know what they're doing and just settle for ordinary when they should be looking for extraordinary or to do something that really stands out. So that's great advice there, mate. Thanks for that. So, Kristin, I'd love to know, so obviously going from a career to a business is, as we'd all know, is quite a big challenge. There's a lot of difficulties and potential mental roadblocks that we face, or, things that really stop us. What would you say would be your biggest mental roadblocks that you've had to overcome from transitioning from a job into a business, and how did you overcome them?
Absolutely. Okay. So for me personally, the belief in myself that I was able to do it.
Definitely.
That was the biggest thing. For me, the safety net of a regular income wasn't really a problem, because what I did realize very early on was that, and this is one thing that I think a lot of the people watching this could take away, is that, you've got, if you're going to transition from being in a career and being in a an employed role to a self-employed role or starting your own business, it's a very scary thing to go from, regular income, getting paid every fortnight, if you're doing enough work and you're keeping your boss happy, to then the unknown. But what I could say is that the human psychology, when it comes to money, you need to pay the rent, you need to pay the food bill, the food, the utilities. So you will, if you take the leap it's very scary, but you will find a way to make it happen because you kind of have to. You know what I mean? So it's almost like a forced way to be able to do it. For most people, that doesn't really work. So, but yeah. So for me personally, it was more about the belief in myself, like because I hadn't done it before. I knew it was possible for sure because, you know, I've seen family members and there's so many people that have done it before, but I hadn't done it before. And so that was the biggest mental roadblock. And, you know, when I first got started, it was like $100 a week and, you know, my food bill was 150. So, you know, I was doing part-time, like on the weekends back at, you know, being a barista. Yeah. So it was like during the week, I was a financial advisor, and on the weekend, I was a barista, you know, so, you know, you just made it happen. But that was the biggest mental roadblock is like the belief in myself that it was actually possible. But now, you know, we sit here today and we got just under 30 million funds under management. And, you know, last year it took about 10 weeks of holiday. So, it's been working.
That's awesome, man. And you should be so proud of yourself. I'm really proud of what you've achieved. That's incredible, man. And such a great takeaway there from our audience. So guys, go back and have a listen and understand that all of us go through this, you know, doubt in ourselves and this, you know, no self-belief, especially when it's something so new. So yeah, that's great advice. Thanks, Kristin.
Yeah. And it's just just backing yourself. And I mean, cause at the end of the day, like, and I'll be real with you know, that job security is less and less now, right? So at any given point in time, you know, you could be in a full-time role and you might be retrenched because of technology, because of outsourcing or whatever. So, you know, that's why I love what you do is because you're adding value to that person who's then going to add value to and be a absolute necessity to that business.
Definitely.
You know, and that's like so important these days.
Yeah, definitely, man. And I think that's one of the biggest things where I find I really differentiate is like I really focus on helping people understand the current and future employment projections. For example, like you said, a lot of where the jobs are going, where they're completely disappearing altogether. I've found that a lot of students I've worked with who have done university degrees don't even know what they're going to do at the end of it, have no plan for their future, just don't really know what the employment trends are like, and thus end up working a job that they don't want to be in that's not in their field for the rest of their life, or, you know, potentially never finding one. So I find that, yeah, by understanding, you know, where the future's heading and what the job industry and job network is looking like, that's a great start. So yeah, thanks, man. So Kristin, I'd love to know what would be some of the best career advice you think you've ever received in your life? I know, yeah, you didn't have a career for long, but what would be the best advice you've either received yourself or you've heard in a book or a podcast or anything like that?
Yeah, for sure. I think it was Steve Jobs who said, you know, love what you do.
Yeah.
Because I mean, we're spending so much of our life and our precious time in whatever career we're in or whatever we're doing for, you know, for a crust. And if you're doing what you love, you're going to find a way to make money and earn enough income to be able to do that anyway.
Exactly, man.
Right. So, and it's absolutely, I think it's a human tragedy that people just get comfortable in doing a certain role that they're not really fulfilled in. They're waiting for 5 p.m. and, you know, then they're waiting for the weekend, you know. I mean, the thing is, like, money is like abundant, right? There's unlimited money. If there's not enough money, they'll just print some more like they're doing in the US right now. But you know, your time is finite. Yep. So you've got only a limited amount of time you got on this planet. Why are you doing shit that you don't like, or doing it just to pay the mortgage, or that? One of the biggest gripes is, you know, just doing that sort of stuff and using the excuse that, oh, it's because I got to pay the mortgage, or, oh, it's because I got to pay the car off. Well, I mean, who said that you need to go and buy a house?
Yeah, exactly.
You know, like, you don't need to buy a house. You don't need to mortgage. You can rent.
Exactly.
Right. So, you know, it's really about aligning, you know, what you do and doing what you love. And that Steve Jobs says that because he says, you know, you're spending heaps of time on that. So that's definitely the number one thing. Because, I mean, you could have 20 grand less and love what you do and have a better quality of life than if you're earning, for example, we've had clients that are earning $240,000 plus, but they're stressed out and they're less happy than someone who's earning like just under 100.
Yeah.
So
exactly right. That's great advice there. It's so true. Good old Steve Jobs. He's always had the knowledge and some great content there. And I think that's so true. Like, I remember speaking to a few people recently, and they're really miserable in their job. And I just had a normal chat to them and said, what are your plans for the future? What do you really want to get into? What would you love to be doing? And they're like, oh, I'm just going to stay where I am because it's just easier. And I'm like, but easier, like you said, you hear more, you work more than anything in your life. So why wouldn't you want to do something you love, or, something that aligns with what your personality and your traits are like? So it's really sad to see that a lot of people think like that and don't stretch themselves. It's just, it's quite a miserable way to live, just, dreading your work and counting down till 5 p.m. like you said. So.
Yeah, and most people just doing that because they feel like they need the safety net. And we talk to people every single day about money, right? So they're doing that normally because they think that that's a safety net for their income.
Yeah.
And if you really dive deep into that, you might need to just budget a little bit better, or you might need a bit of a shake-up, That's normally the reason why. Because when you get to talk to people that are, loving what they do, whether it's their own business or whether it's their career, like they'll go on for hours and there's a passion for it, right? But yeah, there's just the safety net it's a false safety net. It really is. Like,
spot on, man. It's really true. So, Kristin, I'd love to know, so we've all got a really positive habit or trait or something that we've utilized to help us move forward in our life or in our business. And also we've got a hindering habit or belief. What would you say would be your biggest positive habit or trait that's really helped you move forward and achieve the success in your business? And also, what would be one of the most hindering ones that really kind of stops you getting to that level where you want to be at?
Yeah, for sure. All right. So, one of the positive habits that I've always built into my life, since I was about 15, is just physical training.
Yep.
Whether that be I was doing competitive bodybuilding. Now I'm definitely into CrossFit. Never thought I'd say that in a million years. A friend of mine pushed me to try it out, and I tried it and just got addicted to it. So, awesome. That just reduces the stress. It breaks up. Because if I didn't train, I'd just be 24/7 thinking about the business.
Exactly, man.
So yeah, positive the fact that I keep physically fit. I may not eat as well as I should, but at least I'm actively, using my physiology and training. So that's definitely positive. One of the things that's sort of hindered me significantly in my business and is this idea that, because seeing Dad work really, really hard and working long hours and, not necessarily doing what he loves, but doing it for the sake of making more money, that's actually put a strain on his, physical health and his relationships, and went through a lot of difficult challenges. So one of the things I had to get over was that, I kind of self-sabotage when I get to a certain point, because I don't want to end up overworking myself or, burning out. So for example, it's a good thing, but not necessarily a good thing, because, I will go and, for example, when I went to Vietnam, I enjoyed myself, but I could have been spending that time making a little bit more money, and I could have taken a shorter holiday, but I was more lifestyle focused. Yeah. So that's sort of I'll get to a certain point and then I won't break through that point, because I go, if I become successful, that will be at the detriment to my health and my relationships. But that's just not true. And I've been working with a personal coach to overcome that, and it's starting to get better. So, but that's awesome, man. The first couple of years, it's for sure hindered the business. So yeah.
Wow. Thanks so much for sharing that, man. I think a lot of us can relate to that, and whether you be in your career or in your business. I know I've done a fair bit of self-sabotage over the time where, I myself hadn't realized to start with, after a coach helped me as well, that I had a lot of the employee mindset, or, more of a mindset I developed from my parents where, they just were like workaholics and, they didn't believe in, entrepreneurship as such, even though, as I said, my dad had a business. He was just, self-employed, just working. He was like just another paid job for him. So I kind of, I found that held me back a lot. And, when a coach helped me work through a lot of that, it really helped things improve in my life and, my business as well. So yeah, that's great advice, man. I really appreciate you sharing that. And guys, go back and have a good listen to that. That's a powerful insight there. So Kristin, I'd love to know, like a lot of us are quite big readers and, constant learning and educating and growing. So what would be the best book or resource or tool that you've really utilized or you regularly utilize to really help you in your life or in your business?
Number one book for sure is Think and Grow Rich.
Oh, yeah.
I can't even, when I was in Vietnam, the one good thing that I did, because I had a lot of food, traveled a lot, had a lot of beers, enjoyed myself. But one of the most productive things that I did over there was read Think and Grow Rich 3 times. Yeah, so, and I'm coming from a space of if you've read the book, yeah?
Yeah, long time. So, quite a while ago, but yeah, I did. It's great.
There's these old school fundamentals around how to advance your career and what you can do to add value to your employer. And that just, the guy wrote that back in the 30s, I think it was, and it's still true today. But one of the things that's, for my business as well is how much value am I adding to people? Because if I'm not adding value, then I'm not getting, remunerated for that. But more importantly as well, it's now become one of the most fundamental things that I encourage my clients to go through because, the financial success or whatever your version of financial success is, it's 80% of it's mindset, 20% of it's mechanics. You got to get the right mechanics. You got to get step 1, 2, 3, 4 all in place. But I could put the most perfect strategy in the world in place, but if your psychology is not there for it, it's just not going to happen. So that, by far, is my number one book.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's great.
Second book, I would say, for personal finance, is Money Master the Game by Tony Robbins, because he goes through how rigged the financial system is and how you can sort of protect yourself as well. And it goes through who you need to, or what qualifications you need to go through to choose someone who you can trust to manage your finances for you. So that's a second, but Think and Grow Rich is by far the best book I've ever read.
That's really good. Thanks for sharing that, man. That's brilliant. So obviously, coming from your amazing financial services background, I know a lot of people, really struggle with their finances, as you'd know. So what would be 3 to 5 actionable tips that you could really help my audience with to help themselves, get a bit more on track with their finances or potentially set themselves up for a great financial future?
Yeah, for sure. Okay. So, for me, it's been a thing of trial and error because quite honestly, the financial services industry is still sort of based on focused on financial products, right? And so that's fair enough. You got a GP, you got a doctor, and they're going to find out what's wrong, and then they're going to prescribe a pill or something to fix that, right? But it's not fixing the underlying problem most of the time. So the 3 things, if there's 3 things in terms of personal finances, this is completely separate to business finance. But first things first is, really getting clear about what your outcome is and what your financial goals are. So, because there's so many different ways that you can go about strategizing and planning your finances, right? You could go invest in property, you could go put money in shares, you can put money back into your own personal development and professional development, you can start your own business, you can do network marketing, there's so many things, right? But understanding what it is what your outcome is first, and then reverse engineering all of it.
For sure.
So that's number one, and really understanding why money is important to you. I know it sounds a bit sort of airy-fairy, but, if money means freedom, choices, all that sort of stuff, or, money means significance and being able to provide, it's two different things. So finding out what drives you in your own finances. So that's the first thing. Second thing is absolutely like cash flow, like budgeting and savings, like the absolute basics, right? And there's two equations. You can reduce your expenses or you can find a way to increase your income. And what I love about what you do is that if you're adding, if you're getting someone who's in a career and you're giving them career counseling and you're able to improve their skills and what they're able to do and ask for a pay rise, they're increasing that part of the equation. And so they can keep the challenges, keeping the expenses the same, right? But there's it's it seems basic, but most people don't want to reduce their expenses. So they've got to find a way to increase their income. So that's the second thing, is like cash flow management. And it goes beyond budgeting and just setting a budget, because most people have set a budget and failed, and there's a reason for that. And then the third thing is like absolutely just making sure that you got a backup plan. So, I'm going to put a plug in for insurance, and most people go, oh, I don't need insurance or whatever. But I mean, I can tell you now, like we do pro bono work for Cancer Council Queensland and that sort of stuff. And when significant events happen, because someone hasn't just put in place plans to make sure that whatever happens to them, whether they can't work for a short period of time or, something significant health-wise happens to them, then they're asking for handouts and asking for people to raise funds for them because they haven't planned it. And it's devastating, because that the options are out there to put that stuff in place, but most people don't think about it until it's too late. So those are the three things, because if you cover those three things, then you can find the right investment strategy. It's actually better and safer because you've got cash flow management, you've got the right mindset, and you've got a backup plan, regardless of whether you're working or not. You know what I mean? So those are the three things for sure.
Oh man, I love that. So simple, but so effective, and can really help you get your life in order. So guys, go back, grab a paper and pen and take down those notes, or reach out and get in contact with Kristin. He's got a wealth of knowledge and amazing at what he does. So yeah, thanks for sharing, man. So Kristin, we're just getting ready to wrap up soon, mate. So what would be some parting advice that you'd really love to share with my audience that can really help them move forward in their career?
Yeah, absolutely. So, there's so many things.
Or with their finances, or something that, because I like how you just went back onto that. That was a really good explanation. How you're saying, obviously I like what I do because, one, I can help people increase their income, which is obviously a key part for cash flow. But that's why I'm loving that. Yeah, we've got something potentially in the works coming up this year, because you help people with their financial, personal finances and stuff like that, and I can help with their income. So putting that strategy in place, I guess, what would be something that you feel that they could really help them put in a great strategy in place to really start taking action now?
I would say get rid of the mentality of chasing more money, because more income is not going to be the final answer.
True.
And I say that because, I've had clients that are, earning well over $300,000, but they still don't have their finances sorted, right? So if you're at a level where you just graduated and you're on a graduate wage, if your money habits are what they are at 50,000, I can guarantee you they're going to be the same at like 300 plus.
So
don't be go for what you're worth, or, being able to add value and increase your income. But don't think that that's going to be the answer to your financial challenges or your financial success. It's a number of things. So it goes back to the whole, because people feel stressed and they leave their current career, which could be great, but, they go and chase they think that the grass is green on the other side, and, they get an increase of like $20,000, but then 6 months later, they've just gone and increased their expenses, and now they're in the same position, Exactly. So don't chase money or income for the sake of just doing that. Work with your current amount and build the right habits in now, and then you'll be able to like make the most of your future pay increases.
Exactly.
That's what I've got to say. So.
That's perfect. And that's one of the biggest things I always say to my clients too, is like, it's all well and good, wanting to better yourself and increase your income, but don't let that be the sole reason what's driving you to change career or what's driving you to go into a certain path. Because I've seen it time and time again happen with clients with people where they've just chased a job just for the income. And when things get tough, as you'd well know, they just give up. And they just go, oh, screw it, like it's too hard, or my heart's not really into this, it's not worth the money. So, and they just bail on it. There's got to be more values and underlying reasons of why you're doing something. So, yeah, thanks for sharing, man. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on the show, mate. So where would be the best place for everyone to get in contact with you and for example, your website or your social media?
Yeah, for sure. Just like if you know my name there, just add me on Facebook and we can have a conversation. I'm very approachable. If you got a question or you want to have a quick chat, we can do that for like half an hour. Because we, in saying that, we don't take every person on as a client. There's certain criteria because we want to work with them long term. But I'm happy to give you a quick 30-minute consultation if you just want to know specifically about a certain thing, or I've got a ton of videos that you can go and check out too. I'm really big on financial education, especially in Australia. So yeah, just reach out to me on Facebook or like the Nextgen Financial Services page. But otherwise, one-on-one contact is great. Send me a PM on Facebook.
Definitely, and I'll put all the links in the show notes for Kristin's website and all his social media. So, Kristin, I just wanted to welcome you to the Career Breakthrough Tribe. I'm so excited to have had you on and get your insights on personal finance and business finances. So it's really something different, but it's so crucial to people's lives. And I really love some of the takeaways and learnings we've got. So yeah, it's been a great interview, mate. I really appreciate your time.
Yeah, thank you. I'm looking forward to being able to work together.
Yeah, definitely. Exactly right, mate. Well, thank you again. And guys, stay tuned next week. We've got another incredible guest or entrepreneur on the show. He's really going to help you smash forward in your career and get to that level you really want. I'll see you then.
Thank you so much for tuning into today's episode. Kristin shared some amazing financial advice of how you can move forward in your career and achieve those financial goals you've always wanted. If you really want to get some one-on-one coaching or to help you move forward and set out a financial roadmap for this year, be sure to head to the link above, which is Kristin's financial roadmap session. The link was bit.ly/financial roadmap 1. So bit.ly/financial roadmap 1. In this session, you're going to be setting out and designing a financial roadmap that gives you a clear path and plan for your financial success, no matter where you're coming from in life. You're going to be setting clear and meaningful financial goals that are based on your core values or what's most important to you in life. It'll be a one-on-one session with a qualified financial advisor and a coach where you get the answers to all of those money questions you've always wanted to know about. You'll also get a list, which is a step-by-step action plan of how to move forward to achieve those amazing financial targets you want to set for yourself. And finally, you'll receive a financial toolkit full of useful tools, templates, and resources that are going to help you get more clarity, control, and confidence over your finances. So guys, be sure to jump on board with this financial roadmap session with Kristin. Stay tuned next week where we've got another amazing guest who's really going to help you move forward in your career in either mindset, peak performance, or career change. I can't wait to share that episode with you either. See you later, guys.